Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Notes. Hope you had a great week. I hope you're enjoying these Beyond the Notes. These are a lot of fun for me, as I've shared in the past. It's great for me to break down the writing of the week and see what else I learn as I go through it from time to time. So this is for the week of May 27th. So we're going from May 27th to June 2nd. Let's get to, well, before we get to the authentic notes, to the daily notes, I want to highlight a couple things. First and foremost, you might notice the shirt I'm wearing, the Converting Attention Club. I want to give a shout out to my friend and former guest on Our Pursuit, Trayton DeVore. Trayton launched a community, if you will, a platform, a service for financial advisors. So if you're a financial advisor watching or listening to this and you're interested in branding and marketing and learning and growing, check out Converting Attention that Trayton put out. It's an awesome platform. I've already learned so much from being in it, so I just want to give him a big shout out for following his passions and betting on himself and creating a new platform to help advisors tell their story a little bit better so they can find more clients and help more clients and ultimately hopefully help them find their authentic life. So shout out to him, and I also want to shout out this week's new episode of On Our Pursuit with my friend Tony Brown, aka Tony Concept. It was a great conversation. It was a lot of fun. Tony is one of my favorite artists at the moment, and it was great to spend some time with him just talking about his creative process, how he grew to be the businessman that he is today, and everything in between. So make sure you check out those two episodes, the old episode with Trayton and the new episode with Tony on Our Pursuit, on your podcast players, on the YouTube channel, all of those things. As you can see, it is very windy, so if you're listening to this only, I apologize for the background noise, but it's beautiful, and as we're going to see here in a moment, I value the summertime sun, and I want to maximize it as much as possible. So let's get to the first note of the week, May 27th, Your Authentic Life Exists. And to be honest with you, I didn't jot down and look ahead of time what made me, what prompted me to write this. But as you know, these kind of come to me every day, so there was a reason. But I just wanted to take this note to just let people know that there is this authentic life that exists for you. There is a life that is meant for you to allow you to reach all of your potential, live your purpose, do all of the things that you want to do in life that you feel called to do, and it exists. But in order to find it, if you're not currently living it, you have to look from within. We spend a lot of time looking externally in life, trying to find cues, trying to find inspiration, trying to find people that we think we want to live the same life as them and mimic them, when really all of the work is internal. So your authentic life already exists. It's out there. The universe has it for you. If you go way deep into quantum physics and you think about different timelines, you're already living it in one place. So it exists, and therefore it can be the life that you have today. You just have to find it. And if you don't know where to start, obviously I believe the connection of spirit, mind, and body will help you. You make that connection, you figure out what your passions are, you begin to move more and more in line with what you're supposed to be doing, taking the gifts that you've been given to help make the world better and diving deeper into those. And then we can bring the money to the case and build a plan to allow you to live that life more so than you do today. But it all starts internally. So it's there, it's just waiting for you to find it. And when you find it, things will kind of fall into place. The synchronicity that you will experience will be unlike anything you've ever experienced before. And I share this with you just from personal experience, and have guests that have been on and future guests who will share their stories as well, so you know that this is not just something that's being made up. There's a lot of self-help stuff that kind of comes to this, but it's very sensationalized. You just gotta want it. The secret. Like, there's truths within those things, but it's also not as simple as the universe wants you to have the greatest life ever and you never have to work for it. No. There is an authentic life, one that makes the world better because you are stepping into the skills that make you unique, and you bring your unique strengths to the world, which makes things better. But you've got to find it, and it all starts from within. That's why passions are so important. So listening to your heart is so important. Why your intuition is so important. It's there. You just got to find it. Spirit, mind, and body are a great way to get started, and doing that in the way that works for you. I don't believe there's one right way to connect with spiritual, one right way to connect with your mind, or one right way to connect with your body. They just need to be connected and aligned, and good things will happen. All right, so we'll go to the 28th, Inspiration First, another quote from Rick Rubin, who has been highlighted on the notes before. But this quote came up, and it's, in terms of priority, inspiration comes first, you come next, then the audience comes last. And this is for the creators out there that have tapped into the inner creator and are creating something to give to the world. But I think this can go anywhere, even inside the business world. But anytime you're creating something, we often think about, what can I create that will give me the most downloads, the most views, what's going to go viral? and you're creating with the audience in mind. And through personal experience and listening to people like Rick Rubin and other very successful creatives, the best work is when you are creating because you're inspired. And that's one of the cool things about the Daily Notes is every morning I wake up and there's inspiration to write about that's not coming from me first. It's coming from somewhere else. I've been creating content for 8 years almost. And in the early days, it was a struggle. That's why people get writer's block. That's why when you try to sit down and write a blog post or sit down and record a video, you struggle is because there's no inspiration. And when you are inspired, the content just comes, the art just comes. So if you think about waiting until you're inspired or doing the things that put you in a state of being inspired, that's the key. And then you should create for what makes you happy. Create for you. Create for an audience of one. A lot of great writers will say they write for an audience of one. That goes against everything you're going to read in a marketing book. It goes against everything that a marketing consultant is going to tell you. But the best work is going to be inspired work that you create because you enjoy it and that it's something that you would like. And then you have to have the trust and the abundant mindset. There's enough people out there who like similar things like you that will appreciate what it is that what you've created. The final one is the audience. So inspiration, then you, and then you can consider the audience. And where I think the best consideration for the audience is how do you distribute it? How do you get it in front of them? Create it, and then the marketing is how do I get this in front of the people who will like it, and how do I distribute it? And maybe from time to time you have some intention to, you've got most of the inspiration in and the finale, or you want to put some details in it that you know will resonate with your audience, that will pull them in. That's fine. That doesn't take away from the art and the inspiration, but make your audience last. And again, that goes against everything you're going to read in a marketing book. It's going to go everything against you read or hear people talk about on social media. But if you look at the greatest creatives, and I think those are oftentimes musicians and artists and things, it starts with inspiration, it starts with them, and then the audience will eventually find it. So inspiration comes first. Don't jump to the audience right out the gate. I mentioned Summer Sun. May 29th's Daily Note was titled Summer Sun, and I just was talking about how summer is my favorite time of the year, spring and summer. First because of the weather. Indiana, we have a nice 3 or 4 months of gray, cold, dreary weather, which I hate. But spring, summer rolls around and it starts to warm up. But another reason it's connected to it that I love summer is now the boys are on break. So yes, I love having the extra time with them, late nights outside, but also it gives me a different morning routine. And a morning routine that is more in line with my ideal day, but I can't have it right now because of the boys. And the ideal routine is waking up and being able to come out on the patio right here and write my daily notes, sit in the sun and drink my coffee, do my meditation, and take a good 45 minutes to an hour when you'd usually be up that early getting the boys ready, and take it for me to do those things. And then I can go off to yoga and do all the other things. I'm not feeling rushed. So the summer schedule allows me to slow down and spend more time in the summer sun. And I'm sure you've seen the studies, you've seen Dr. Huberman out there talking about the first thing you should do within 15 minutes is get sunlight in your eyes. And I know there's lots of data that supports that, and it's good for your health, but I don't need the data. I know how I feel. Coming out in the sun in the morning, sitting here drinking my coffee, listening to the birds, and doing my writing and just being present is great. It's the best way to start my day, which is why in an ideal authentic life, that would be my day every single day. But my authentic life is a combination, it is a compromise of future authentic life and present authentic life. Having this every single day is not in the cards for right now because there are other things that are a higher priority for me. But you better believe wind, you've got the umbrella shaking the camera. This is not going to be the best video or the best audio you're ever going to hear, but I'm maximizing my time in that summer sun because I know before long it's going to go away. I might have sun, but it's going to be cold, or it might be a little bit warmer, but it's going to be crummy out, and I'm not going to get to spend as much time out here. So I would encourage you, not because of Dr. Huberman and not because of the scientific studies, to just spend some time out in the sun. Don't overthink it. Just get outside, spend a little bit of time in the sun, go for a walk. If you have the opportunity to have a slower morning like I've got during the summer, take advantage of it because it is very refreshing. It sets your day up for a great start. All right, the next one up is the importance of fashion, which sounds kind of silly, but this ties into expressing your inner creator. And one of the things I realized, thinking back to my talk a week or so ago about not wearing suits and being comfortable with who I am and being authentically myself, one of the ways you can express yourself is through the clothes that you put on. If you didn't have to dress to fit a certain vision that someone else has created, what you would choose would be a representation of who you are or how you're feeling. If you're feeling happy, you might be picking brighter colors. Or if you're feeling down and you're trying to lift yourself up, you might pick on brighter colors. If you're feeling down and somber, maybe you have darker colors on. But what you wear is an expression of your inner self. And I think that's important. I think it's silly to make judgments based off of what someone wears, how smart or successful they might be. And in the note, I talk about how when I was working at the 403B company, I would wear a suit every day. And as I started to see the end of my time there and knowing I was going to be going out on my own one day and hitting the independent side of the world, I kind of cared less about wearing the suits. And I started wearing, jeans and a sweater with a button up underneath it. It's like business casual, maybe even relaxed business casual. But I noticed something. When I would go to my clients' houses and they would see me, they would compliment me on how nice I looked. But I was dressed more relaxed and not dressed as nice, not wearing my suit, as I was before. In my suit, I never received a compliment, but dressed down, I did. And it might be a combination of my clients were more comfortable with me not in a suit. There are some people that are intimidated by the suit, just the energy that suit puts off. But I also wonder if part of it was I was more myself, which put out a different energy that they were receiving. So I just felt more comfortable, more confident, more happy, and that was coming out and they could sense that. And you know when you're around somebody and you can feel their energy, I just think that might have been part of it as well. But fashion is important. It might get overlooked, and there's no right way to express yourself other than what makes you feel the best and you feel most comfortable in. So I would encourage you to think more, but also think less about what it is you wear. Meaning, wear the things that you want, and when you're wearing those things, don't think about what other people are going to be thinking. That's the less part. The think more is what makes you feel comfortable. Be more intentional about what it is you wear, but care less and think less about what others think. I have a few, I won't call them personas, but depending on what it is I'm doing, sometimes I wear different styles. So, speaking on stage, I have boots on. I used to wear Jordans, but I've kind of evolved that style. I feel more comfortable, more comfortable, more confident wearing some boots and a button-up or a jersey or a blazer, or not a blazer, but a jacket, like a motorcycle type jacket, just a stylish jacket. There's one style there. If you're thinking of stores like a Buck Mason store, which I really like, that's that. Or in the office, I dress that way sometimes. That's kind of, I would say, that's my professional attire. When I'm feeling creative, I'm wearing graphic tees, I'm a little bit more relaxed, hoodies, maybe wearing a hat. When I'm working out, I have these different styles that I wear when I am feeling a different way. Kind of like in the episode this week with Tony Brown versus Tony Concept. I don't have different names per se, but I have different styles that I wear when I'm embodying different parts of who I am. So fashion is way more important and less about impressing people, more about making yourself feel good than what we give it credit for. All right, so let's go to the next one. Timing matters. That morning, instead of doing my morning meditation, I tabled it and did it later. And I finally picked up a book called The 4 Agreements that I've had for, I want to say it's close to a couple years. A friend of mine gave it to me when I was in the very beginning stages of doing Pursuit. And she told me I would really enjoy it. I had it, I picked it up, read a page or two, didn't resonate, so it's been sitting. And for whatever reason, it came back on my radar and I felt called to read it. So that morning, instead of meditating, I picked the book up, and as soon as I started reading it, I knew this was it. This is a book like The Alchemist, same thing. I had it for a couple years, the timing wasn't right, and then the timing became right for me to read this book. So I think The 4 Agreements is going to be a very important book in this journey because of the message. A lot of that message of that book were things that I knew, and reading it on paper gave me more confidence to own and dive deeper into. It's a great book. It's a short read. I read it in one day. It's like 120 pages. It's a smaller size book, but it's really, really good, and a lot of great principles that tie into spirit, mind, body, ties into the pursuit, ties into authentic living. I think it's a great book that I would recommend, but I wasn't ready to read it. Had I read it 2 years ago, I think I would have enjoyed it, and maybe I would have picked up a few pieces on it, but it would not have had the impact it had on me right now. It's the same thing with The Alchemist. I've told that story before. I bought The Alchemist years ago after hearing Kobe Bryant on an interview mention it was his favorite book. So if Kobe loves it, I'm going to love it. I get 6 pages in, I put it down and kind of forget about it. Fast forward, I'm watching a Jay Shetty interview. Happens to be the same interview, but I love telling it this way because the first time I read it or watched it was for Kobe. The second time I watched it was for Jay Shetty. So I came to this conversation with different lenses on, different perspectives. But in it, I heard him mention The Alchemist. Jay started talking about it as well. And I was like, I think I have that book. Couldn't find it, so I order it. I get it, and I read it in a day and a half. And then I find my old copy, which is still marked at the 6th page. The timing was right. So along your pursuit, maybe it's a book, maybe it's other things. But timing will always things will happen on the timeline they're supposed to, and it won't always be on your watch. So just trust that things will happen when they're supposed to, and when they do happen, be aware of it and go all in and go hard on it. So for me, it was reading the book in a day and processing it really quickly, but there's other things, connections, opportunities, doors that open, doors that close. Those things all happen at the right time. Just trust that the timing is right and follow your intuition, follow your heart, and allow it to be your guide. But timing matters, and it's not going to be necessarily exactly when you want it to be, but the time will be right. All right, on the first, Permission was the title of the note, and this was inspired by a conversation I had the day before with a friend of mine. I won't go through, you can read the note, justincastelli.io, daily notes, subscribe to it, get it to your emails every day. But basically, many of us have things we want to do. We even get to the point of having business plans and being ready to do it, but we just need somebody to give us that permission that it's okay to do it. And I don't always think it's truly permission to say you should go do this. It's more of confirmation that what it is that you're thinking isn't crazy. And the truth is, the permission that you seek can only come from within. We can check and get validation from friends and family and peers, but at the end of the day, you have to give your permission to take that leap. And I think the best way to find that permission from within is to listen to your heart, follow your passions, spirit, mind, body, all the things I always talk about. That will help you be confident in what it is you want to do, that it is part of your authentic life. And when you have that confidence, I think you can give yourself the permission. And a lot of times the thing that will help you get the final piece of confidence is the planning aspect of it. So you've figured out what it is, you've figured out why, everything with it. Now you build the plan. And once you know how you're going to do it, what to expect, pluses and minuses, what are the potential road bomb or the time bombs that could happen, just what are the risks, then you give yourself permission. But no one can give you the permission. You have to get the permission from yourself. And the sooner you realize that, the more capable you're going to be to go make those changes and take those risks and pursue the authentic life that you need. So if you need permission to give yourself permission, consider it's that. But I don't have that power. I don't have that power. Only you have the power to give yourself the permission to pursue the life that you want. The rest of us can support you, we can give you feedback, but ultimately, even if someone gives you permission, you still have to give it to yourself. So you don't seek permission from others, seek it from yourself, and move forward and trust where you're going. And then the final one from yesterday, since I'm recording this on Saturday, is your response. And there's a quote from Viktor Frankl who shows up a lot, and I think it's going to show up throughout my pursuit. Between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. And I don't know why, but when I read that, I can visualize that space between the stimulus and the response. I can see it. I can see that void. And I think of this in my own life. For the most part, I don't react to a lot. I react to the boys. And that's not something I'm proud of and something I'm trying to work on through mindfulness and meditation and breathing and all those things. But the parents out there know, after so many times of asking for something to be done or so many times of being talked back to, you kind of lose your cool. And I'm trying to, when those moments come, pause for a second and see that space. And in seeing that space and having that extra moment, choosing my response, because I get to choose it. It may not feel like it, and when you react, you take some of the choice away, but we all have a choice. Whether it is reacting to our kids or reacting to circumstances that happen to us, good or bad, we have a choice. It's like the one quote I had, basically, that the Shakespeare one from last week, Hamlet. Nothing is either good or bad until you decide it to be. Your response that you get to choose in the moment determines the rest of the path. You have a moment in time where you can go down one path or you can go down another. You get to choose the path that you go down. Take that moment because it's on you. And if you are choosing the right one, then you're going to grow, you're going to have more freedom because you can take a moment and you can choose the path that's not going to bring more stress and drama to your life. So your choice is just as powerful, if not more, than what actually happened to you. And you get to control it. You can't control what happened all the time, but you can control the response every single time. And if the response is just as powerful, if not more, then that's a lot of control you have and something you should think about. So think about that. Between the stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is your power to choose your response. In your response lies your growth and your freedom. All right, that's it for this week's Daily Notes. Again, apologize for the shaky camera as the wind blew the table. Probably some wind that hit through on the mic. But again, this is a part of my authentic life, being out on the patio in the summer sun, being amongst nature. And if that means the video or the audio quality is not at 100%, I'm okay with that because this is authentic. This is me. And this is what I hope you strive to do. Don't worry about the imperfections. Do what feels right to you, and everybody else will appreciate it. So have a great week. We'll be back next week. Again, remember, On Our Pursuit with Tony Brown, On Our Pursuit with Trayton DeVore to celebrate, Converting Attention? I want to say Collaborating Attention. Converting Attention Club. Go check that out if you're a financial advisor. And as always, thank you for joining me on my pursuit. It is an honor to be a part of yours, and let's keep pursuing.